Hey everybody, I'm Scott Weichel. You're listening to MKOCRadio.com. My guest tonight has enjoyed international success as one of Canada's most versatile showbiz personalities, with major credits as a recording artist, a songwriter, TV show and game show host, author, and activist. And this year he once again brings his dynamic personality to the North American Country Music Association's International Hall of Fame Award Show as MC and Master of Ceremonies. Always a pleasure to talk with him, Blake Emmons. Blake, how are you tonight?
Well, after that introduction, Scott, hey, for those of you that are watching us live, I'm embarrassed.
Well, it's a good thing
we
they're
do live and in color, whatever.
live and in color. That's right. It's
great, Scott.
It's a good thing we're not on video. I got a face for radio, so this works.
That's what I've been told. Yeah, you got a great face for radio.
Oh man. Well, we're looking forward to March 17th. Once again, your skillful skills at hosting and handling all the mic duties at the North American Country Music Association International Award Show. Looking forward to seeing you again.
Well, Scott, I'll tell you, I am truly, number one, I was honored that they asked me to partake last year and that I'm coming back. What people don't realize is what a Herculean effort it is, number one, to bring all the people together and, to get them backstage. It's like trying to herd dewworms and wildcats into the same room. But it gets done. And the neat thing for me, like last year, I hadn't seen Freddie Hogg in years. And it was like we just spoke yesterday. Yeah. And this year, man, I am so looking forward to meeting my old friend Dick Dameron, who is an icon in the country music industry for years. And people like that. Yeah, it's just an honor and a pleasure. But like backstage, it's almost like there's two shows. There's one that's on stage, and then there's one backstage where everybody's hugging and talking about old times and whatever.
Yeah.
It's a joy.
That was my favorite part. I think I spent more time back there than I did out in front. I kept having to run out front so I could see the show,
Well, they had all that great food back there, and by the time I got back, for long enough to eat something was gone.
Yeah.
So it was obvious to me that there had been several musicians back there.
Well, Jeff Funk was hoarding it. I couldn't get anywhere near it. He had a chair camped right out there, so I couldn't get anywhere near it,
I used to love it when I was touring, particularly, and we'd have an opportunity, and someone would say, "Hey, you're going to be there. Could you come and do a song at the wedding for a friend, one of my union buddies or somebody like that?" And say, "Yeah," and of course the band would say, "Oh yeah, man, free food."
Oh man, well, it's going to be a good time. Going to be a good time. Rex Allen Jr. will be there, of course, and Miss Jeannie Kendall of the Kendalls, and as you mentioned, Dick Dameron, Joyce Smith, Riley Madison, a wonderful songwriter, and Margie Singleton. It's going to be a fantastic show.
There's one of my. I can hardly wait to see. I haven't seen her in years. Because hey, everybody's still out there on the road, and my forte has been, as you well know, I've been working with. We call ourselves Wounded Warriors, but it's our veterans and firefighters, police officers, and all those with post-traumatic stress, and it's grown beyond what I ever dreamed of. And it's thanks for guys like yourself and Jeff and several. It's just the people. We're running another event this year up in Canada. We bring a bunch of the guys up. And like last year, Earlene Mandrell, she said, how can I get involved? And that's what happens with our industry, is we get in touch with each other and we help, and the benefit has been for our veterans, which is great. I appreciate the opportunity to even talk about that, like right now and while we're on stage too.
Well, it's a very important project for us too. We have a page on our website devoted to Wounded Warriors Weekend, and of course we also have all the information for the Nagma Show. You can get your ticket information there, and go get your tickets and come see the show. It's Saturday, March 17th, 7 p.m. at the beautiful Country Tonight Theater in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. What a wonderful place!
Oh, the setup is great, and there's a lot that goes on in Pigeon Forge, but this is a show that is like a once-in-a-lifetime kind of thing. It's not something. Yes, sure, we have the award show every year, but every year it's different participants. So, like I said, it's what better reason to go get a ticket is to see history and to be part of it.
Absolutely, absolutely. I really enjoyed last year when you were introducing the acts, and when you were doing Gary Morris. I think you were going into a long thing about his career and everything, and he just came up and stood behind you. I thought that was great.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, here's a guy that I've paid to see him on a couple of occasions all over the country, and we're talking sellout crowds. And here were the people getting to see this. I watched him on Johnny Carson's show. He was just supposed to do one song, and Carson asked him to come over and sit down. Things. What a great voice!
Oh yeah.
It was like I could have gone on and on, which I tend to do sometimes.
Well, he came out there with his guitar, and it was absolutely magical. His voice just rang from the rafters. And a lot of folks don't know he was not well. He had the flu while he was there, and you would have never known it the moment he hit the stage.
Yeah, I talked to him after because I didn't realize it. That it reminded me of the last time I saw my friend Jack Green on stage, and he wasn't well at the time and had to be helped out to the microphone, actually. And they put the guitar on him, and he came to life.
Yeah.
And that was it for those two songs. It was like Gary. But that's a pro. They do what they need to do.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of pros, you certainly have had a wonderful career, not only in the music business, but in the television business, and you've done just about everything, and you certainly are still on the road. It's hard to keep up with you. One time I talked to you, you're in Canada. Next time you're in Nashville, and you're all over.
Yeah, this year has been quite a bit of travel because, next year we're going to be in Newfoundland. And this year I had requests from soldiers from the Ukraine and also from Israel that are, going to come over and be participants in our Winter Wars weekend. It's things that we don't talk about a lot. Our allies and friends and people that our troops are helping. Post-traumatic stress it's something that happens to you. It's not a disease or whatever. And what I'm finding most that's a big secret about why our weekend has been great is because there's only 1% of our military, only 1% of our population is our military. And there's 200,000 of our guys and gals transitioning back into civilian life every year. And they've been used to looking to their left, looking to their right, and there's somebody there that they can relate to. They get out in civilian population, look to the left, look to the right, there's nobody there. So when they get together at our weekend, they get to talk and find out that they're not alone. That's the big secret.
Absolutely. Blake, when is that coming up this year?
It's the first weekend in August. It'll be in a place called Slave Lake, Alberta, Canada. And, we've got plans for even more. And we're teaming up with a lot of our American counterparts. My hope and dream one day is that we'll be able to have a Wounded Warriors weekend in Tennessee. Why not? There's a lot of our veterans here.
You bet.
A lot of our people.
You bet.
But hey, I digress. It's like the neat thing for me at Nagma is here we are. We get to be in front of 1,000 or I forget how many people were in the audience. But it's not like the places that we play sometimes in our career. We play dance halls and things like that. And, yahoo, yay, wow. Hey, this is a listening audience. Nobody's had 14 beers or whatever. They're there, and they truly appreciate what they see and what they hear. It's almost like what we have here in Nashville we call Writers in the Round, like at the Bluebird or some of the other places where people come just to listen to the music. And that's what happens at NACMA. People are really attentive, and they listen and appreciate it. How many standing ovations did we see last year?
Oh, my gosh, yeah. Yeah. I know it. And the neat thing, after the show was over and everybody had performed and gotten their awards and everything, went out to the autograph line. We were working with Freddie Hogg as we picked him up in Nashville, and we spent the whole time with him. And it was just amazing to me to watch. The man was 90 years old. For 3 hours or better, he stood and signed autographs and shook hands and took pictures and gave hugs. And it was wonderful to watch the people come through with stories, about when they'd seen him, or a lot of them had records for him to sign, and it was just amazing. There were people that traveled. There was a lady from Texas that was there, a lady from Michigan, all over that came, to see that show, and it was just magic to watch that.
I know this year I've already heard from people from Nova Scotia that are coming down to the event.
Yeah.
You know, sure, they'll partake of the rest of what Pigeon Forge has to offer, which is awesome, but they're coming down specifically to be at the Nagma Awards.
Absolutely, and why not? What a wonderful lineup it is, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Well, Blake, we last time we talked, we talked about your latest album, I Can Be, and played some songs from it, and I understand you're working on some new music as well.
Well, yeah. I've been in the studio for like 10 days. About a week ago, 10 days prior to that. And believe it or not, Scott, it's like one of my buddies said, Blake, your fan base. And I said, my what? He said, you have a fan base. And it's like my ego didn't allow for that. Anyway, he said, they're baby boomers like you. I said, yeah, I can sort of agree with that. So what we did, Scott, so far I have 25 in the can. Everything from Thanks a Lot to Your Cheatin' Heart to all of the stuff that's real country music. Good old country, because it's good and I'm old.
Great. I love it. I love it.
A couple of them, they're going to pull a single out of, but it's our intent to go back in a couple of weeks and do 25 more. We're making up the list now. And it's a joy. For me, it's like travel through history for me.
Sure.
To actually do a lot of those songs that I used to perform on stage, because I truly admire all the other writers, plus a lot of my stuff too. It's like nobody remembers that the first song I ever had cut was a gospel song. Guess who cut it?
Who?
Your turn to guess.
You got me.
Jerry Lee Lewis.
No kidding. Wow.
Honest to God.
Was that let me do something, Lord? Was that the one?
No, it was 13 at the Table.
Okay, no kidding. Wow.
Yeah, and it was on his comeback album, which, launched him, whatever. And Let Me Do Something, Lord, was a follow-up. That was my first number one that I ever had. It's like I said, so my roots are kind of spread around. My life's been an adventure. What the heck?
Oh, I guess so. You've done just about everything. And, one thing I didn't ask you about last time we were talking, you guested in a lot of really famous TV shows like Alice and the Mary Tyler Moore Show and the Golden Girls. Yeah. Tell me about some of those.
Well, B. Arthur, particularly, was a dear friend for years. And I'm going to drop some names. This is the beauty of my adventure. Leonard Nimoy and I, we toured together.
Really?
Leonard actually sang. And he sang Mr. Bojangles and one other off-tune thing, whatever. But it was during his off-season from Star Trek. Because of knowing B, I was there with her when Golden Girls was invented. Mm-hmm. And I was there at the pilots, and I did a couple of episodes, and, I did, like, bit parts, like I come on, and what I'm finding now is that in syndication, they shorten the shows by a minute or whatever so they can put in more commercials, and sometimes my part's not even there, but at the end, the credits are,
oh, geez,
Cowboy number 2, Blake Emmons, Sheriff, whatever. It's like, for a while there, I did the Broadway play Best Little Whorehouse in Texas for 6 months on Broadway during the last of its run, and then I did it for a year on the road, and it seemed like forever after that, because I was, back in Los Angeles and California, so many of the parts in that, they were kind of like sheriff-oriented or play a cop, just little bit things, but I loved it.
Sure.
It was a joy.
That's great. That's great. Tell me about the game show world. I know you did some game shows in Canada and in Chain Reaction.
Well, the game show, I had a dear friend. He was a close friend. His name was Jim Perry. And Jim had a very successful game show in Canada. As a matter of fact, at one time, he had 3 shows running all at the same time. Anyway, he coached me in how to do and whatever to do, and ultimately I got the lead in the game show. And the deal was that we would shoot it in Los Angeles, which was great. And then they moved it up to Canada, to Montreal. And I opted out after that. I said, Montreal was not my cup of tea. It just, I don't know why. It just didn't fit in what I had plans for what Blake wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And I could have retired into it, I suppose, but I chose not to. But it was fun to do. Absolutely. I mean, I loved it.
What was the reason they moved it up to Montreal?
They cut a deal for production with the Canadian production companies in order to get it into Canada. And, and then they said, hey, we've got a Canadian. So that was back then. They had all these rules and regulations about Canadian content and all of those things. That's all changed a lot in this last few years. But back then, and I said no. Things were going great for me in L.A. And I just didn't want to do it, and that was it. So I did the one season. And, it repeats and does. Apparently, I last heard they're playing it in South America or whatever. Who'd have thunk back then? Because back then there wasn't 500 TV channels like there is now.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, the nice thing today is you can go back. A lot of these shows are in, like you said, they're in syndication, so you can watch them again. And a lot of people much like what we do with the internet radio. They're discovering this stuff for the first time.
That's the beauty of the internet now, and it's gradually streaming. It's getting to be where it's going to be. We're going to launch Warriors International Network very shortly, and you've been very instrumental in helping us with that, Scott. It's going to make a difference in a lot of lives, and our whole thing is to raise awareness. That's all that we're going to be about. But, like you say, the internet, I'll give you one. Way back on one of my things, I worked a lot with raising funds and awareness for children with disabilities, or differently abled children, as I called them. I was doing an interview in Cleveland, Ohio, at a variety telethon, and these two doctors were there, and we were talking about exchanging information and the magic of how they could now talk. The hospital in Cleveland could talk to one in New York, or one in Los Angeles, or one in Chicago. And I said, wow, that's great. Yeah, they could change information. And the guy says, yes, it's this new thing called the internet. You want to hear one more?
Yeah.
It goes way back. So I'm interviewing this doctor. He's a pediatric cardiologist, and he's talking about this new wonder drug that dilates the blood vessels of premature babies, and it enables more blood flow to the heart, and therefore getting them a better, chance at life. And the drug, this new wonder drug, Viagra. I'm not kidding you. That's how it started. The rest is history. My joke is, I'm dying to know who the intern was that said, hello, little missy. I have this new experiment I want to try.
we had a robbery at the Walgreens here just the other day, and they stole a bunch of, broke in the pharmacy. That's all they stole, is a bunch of Viagra. And they told me, the police said they don't have any suspects, but they're looking for hardened criminals. So.
Oh, my God. I had heard that he also took some Rogaine, so they're looking for a bald-headed whatever. Hey, in humor, the truth will out, which is good.
These are the jokes, folks. Well, BlakeEmmons.com is the website to visit. You can pick up his latest CD, I Can Be, and read about his storied career. And I certainly will look forward to your new music, and I hope that you'll come back on and we can do a feature on your albums when they come out. And
Scott, great. Hey, I'm looking forward to seeing you again, buddy.
Me too. We had
Are you going to do live from the show this year?
Well, as long as they have the internet connection all set, we'll be good to go. I'm hoping that we're going to get in there early and make sure it's all the T's are dotted and the I's are crossed or something like that. So make sure it's.
Yeah, it's a bit of a challenge there in the hills. I know my phone wasn't working that good there, but.
Yeah, but we will be there and certainly looking forward to it, and plan to broadcast the show live. If we cannot, we will record everything and broadcast it at a later date like we ended up doing last year. But either away, we'll get it on the air. And, of course, we'll be there to see everybody. And you can go to countrytonightpf.com for tickets, and also at nagma.wordpress.com. And, of course, we have the information on our Facebook page, Twitter page, and on our website. There is a whole page dedicated to that. So come and see us Saturday, March 17th at the Country Tonight Theater in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, with your very special host, Mr. Blake Emmons. And it's been a pleasure having you on the show, my friend.
Scott, I appreciate it, buddy. Hey, and if anybody wants to learn about the Wounded Warriors Weekend, go to woundedwarriorsweekend.org. We've got videos, and you might even recognize one of your neighbors on it.
All right.
Thanks a million, buddy. I appreciate it. So looking forward to seeing you in March.
Me too. You stay safe, and we'll see you real soon, Blake. Thanks so much.
All right, buddy. Take care.
All right. We're going to play some of Blake's music for you right now as we continue right here on MKOCRadio.com.